also work with USDA and doing what we call a tandem loan, where maybe both of them work together. So that's one of the things that I like to do a lot, is to bring multiple lenders in to help you with a project. If you have a project that's going to be kind of large and your bank, your local bank, doesn't really want to do it because they don't want to take the whole risk on, sometimes we'll bring people from the lip fund to the table as a second lender. Sometimes we'll bring another bank in as a second lender. So you have to look at those creative ways to reduce the risk that you present as a business for your idea. And that's one way to do it. You can also do venture capitalists, personal people you might know, investors. So just be creative in terms of looking for your resources. What do lenders expect? A standard lender, and even if it's going to be a USDA loan, they're going to almost always want to see what you've done previously. So they're going to ask for a personal financial statement, and they're going to want to look at taxes. They're going to want to look at your business plan and your budget sheets and your cash flow. What is your experience? All of those things. And those minimum credit scores now are somewhere around 650, 670, 680. And they'll, you know, if you're below that, you want to work on your credit and get your credit score up. So those are some of the things that almost all lenders are going to expect. So why do a business plan? A business plan gives you a procedure to follow. It assures that you put in the research to try to be successful. And it helps you address and realize what you really need. And I always call a business plan your Bible. Because in life, if you're a Christian person, you follow the Bible. So in business, your business plan is your Bible. And it's not something that you build on the front end and put away. You have to constantly tweak it, constantly look at it, constantly do things with that business plan that is going to help you advance the business. So we say use it, review it, and update it because it's really important to your business. So what are the elements of a business plan? There is no exact way to do a business plan. But even, no matter what kind of industry you're in, if you're doing cattle, if you're doing goats, if you're doing pecan trees, whatever you're doing, you want to have a business plan and think through all those elements. The executive summary is usually a page or two, and that's what you do to tell the lender or the investor or whoever's looking at your idea, this is what my idea is about. We usually tell people to write the executive summary at the end, after they've done the other elements, because then you can take and pull important pieces to put in that executive summary. If you don't get that lender's attention in that first page or two, they're not going to look at the rest of the loan. The first thing I know that lenders do is they look at your business plan and see how spiffy it is, and then they go straight to the financials, because that's what they're all about, is does it make financial sense? So you have to look at that executive summary and really get their interest. Do your company overview, talk about what products or services you're going to be selling. You have to do an industry and marketplace analysis. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing something that's a product or something that's a crop, or if it's animal-based. You need to know your market. You need to know the cost. You need to know how much cattle are selling for a particular time, when is a good time to sell, when is a good time to hold them. You have to look at all of those things. What is your marketing strategy going to be? How, you know, can you create for yourself a place for your market?
Lisa Gage would like to know if I plan to raise more than one thing, should I do multiple plans or incorporate it all into one?
For the most part, you're going to incorporate it all into one because it's still your business. And each of those may be what we call profit centers. So you want to have, if you're going to sell 3 different crops and then you're going to sell animals, that can all be in one business plan. You may ask for different parts of the business plan to be financed different ways. and the lender, whoever's going to give you money is going to look at that and weigh in on how much money you need for the whole operation. So I would say it's okay to put it all under one. What are your day-to-day activities going to be? Who's going to operate the business? Who's your management? How are you going to manage things? So if you're the CEO of your business, are you going to do everything yourself? Are you going to have other people involved? The bank needs to know that. The bank wants to know that. And if you're a sole proprietor, one of the things the bank may ask you to do is to get insurance on yourself in case something happens and you die, and if you're the sole proprietor before the business does what it's supposed to do. So that's one of the things you want to consider with, just going in by yourself is if something happens to you and it leaves the bank hanging, they normally don't like that. So, and we're not trying to kill anybody either, but I'm just trying to, be real with you. Your financials are going to be, again, the most important thing you're going to do. And then, we always say you do an offer and a request or a pitch for money. That's going to tie back to your executive summary, because in an executive summary, you say what you mean what you say, you get down to the heart of things, and you tell them exactly how much money you need and how much is going to be used and where you're going to utilize it at. And that's the section that would go in normally. And then you always want to have support letters or plans put together for that lender, that investor. It doesn't matter if it's a lender, if it's a family member. You want to treat them the same way. Bring them the best that you have so they understand your business, no matter what it is. So business resources that are available. In this area, as was already alluded to, other than extension, you're going to look at that USDA Rural Development Specialist in terms of resources to get funding. The small business development centers, and we have them everywhere. The main one is out of the University of Houston for this part of the state. And I put on the PowerPoint those addresses and phone numbers for you. I hope those are all current, but those are going to be your local small business development center resources. And those people are the ones who can help you with business plan development. They will sit down with you and talk you through things. You may also want to go through Prairie View A&M to do that through Community Economic Development and ask them to help you look at your business plan and flesh out what needs to be done. And you might also want to talk to the ag agent as well. So, SCORE is the group of retired executives. I found them to be extremely helpful business consultants because they've already owned businesses. Many of them have retired from their businesses or sold their businesses, and they volunteer through the SBA to do consultations. So they'll assign you someone from the core of retired executives to help you with whatever business it is you're doing. And rest assured, they have somebody in that group who's going to have experience doing whatever you've done, because there's a large group of volunteers that volunteer to come through the SBA. You're also going to want to have a CPA or somebody who can really handle your bookkeeping and keep tabs on your money. And of course, again, we mentioned Prairie View A&M University and their group with agriculture and CEP. And then the Bid Academy Consortium is my company, and we do a little bit of everything. But our primary focus is on helping businesses to understand how to sell crops, goods, services to the government. And that's where I'm going to pick up in the second half of our presentation and talk to you a little bit about how to earn additional money, a secondary stream of income that might become your primary stream of income by looking at bidding on things and selling what you have to sell to government. I usually tell people that the government buys everything. They don't own anything. They buy everything and they lease everything. So even when you talk about hay, the El Paso Zoo buys blue gobs of hay. The Houston Zoo buys hay. Everything that's bought at an agency has to be bid on from people in the public. And that's the way the entire system is set up, whether it's city government, county government, state government, federal government, it all goes through a bidding process. So the Bid Academy Consortium helps people earn bids to sell whatever they have to sell to different agencies. The word bid is also interesting because at Prairie View, we use it two ways. We say bid means getting a bid for a contract or a service, but it also means that you're a new business or a business that's doing something that's unique. So we call it businesses in development. So when you look at BID, you know, you can say I'm a business in development, or I'm going after a contract bid to sell my goods and services to the government. And then we have some resources up here. I put the actual websites for Lift Fund and People Fund, the State Comptroller, which is where the business contracting takes place. It's called the HUB program, which stands for Historically Underutilized Business. And then the Secretary of State is where you would file all of your paperwork with the state to get an LLC done or other kinds of businesses formed. So I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. I wish I had, like I said, 12 hours to talk to y'all, but I'll take whatever time they give me today. Got a question?
Are there different kinds of businesses that have advantages or disadvantages? Are you looking at nonprofit as well as for-profit? And if you're looking at nonprofit as well, will you elaborate slightly on advantages as it relates to looking at becoming a nonprofit if you're not in crop production?
Okay, so we had a question. It was if there were certain advantages for certain businesses, whether it be a nonprofit or for-profit company.
Okay, somebody made the mistake of saying I was the expert in nonprofit development. I guess I am. I've been doing nonprofits since 1992, when George Bush talked about the points of life and everybody started calling it extension, where I was an extension agent and wanted to know if they could start a nonprofit. But a nonprofit is a business just like a for-profit. It's just regulated differently. Has different rules, different procedures. So if you're going to be in business to make a profit, then that means you want to be a for-profit. And the way the Internal Revenue Service looks at it is basically at the end of the year when you do your taxes, if you're a for-profit, once you pay your taxes, once you have taken care of all your bills and your obligations, whatever money is left over in that for-profit is yours. You can go on a trip to Tahiti. You can put the money back in your business. You can do whatever you want to do as a for-profit. In the nonprofit setup, it's just the opposite. It's a business that is highly regulated, and all of the money that's made has to stay inside the nonprofit. The difference is you can be paid a salary, but your board determines what that salary is. And you move forward just like any other business would. Your mission, though, is normally to do goodwill, to do services, to provide something of value. I usually tell people a nonprofit is something that provides value or services to people that couldn't otherwise provide it for themselves, and they don't have a profit margin. That means they're not looking at it to make money, they're looking at it for goodwill. How much money can we bring to the table to provide services to people who need something that they can't normally get? It might be that you use a for-profit and nonprofit together, where your for-profit makes a profit and your nonprofit doesn't, and you donate excess from the for-profit to the nonprofit, lowering your tax obligation. So you have to look at both of those things in terms, and that's a whole nother 40-hour conversation, but good question.
All right, a question online. When can you not use a Schedule F for your income taxes?
I do not know. I haven't looked at the Schedule F in a while. Does the person know exactly what that Schedule F says? What's the category?
Susan, do you know the category for your Schedule F?
What is it?
What is it called?
What's the title?
What's the title? And while she's getting that, if you have any other questions to take. Oh. The Schedule F is for farm operations.
If you're making money on the farming operation, you should follow Schedule F. That Schedule F allows you to participate in federal programs, and also is a way that you actually correctly pay your taxes for that business.
Good question. I look at so many schedules, I don't remember what each of them are on the IRS forms. But that's one I usually look for too. Yes. So anyway, these are some of the resources that you can look to. As far as taxes are concerned, that's why I put the comptroller down there, because the comptroller is going to be the agency that you report to your income and your file on a regular basis. If you don't file on a regular basis with them, there's a high threshold for how much money that is. It's a bunch of money. But if you still have to file a nothing to report filing, or else they will cut you off and say you're not eligible to do business in the state of Texas. So it's important to keep up whether you do quarterly filings or annual filings. So always do those filings with the comptroller's office for sales tax, and for, you may not have sales tax to pay, you may, depends on what business you're in, but you still have to file nothing to report. If I think it's, the threshold is like $400,000, or if it's more than 400,000, you have to file a return. Yes, sir.
That's why it's really, really important to really have your CPA as a part of your resources, so you can report everything properly, and you also will be able to get every deduction that is available to you. So the CPA is a really very good part of your business plan. You got to have a good, knowledgeable CPA.
Absolutely, I couldn't stress that more. It's extremely important that you have good financial advice and good financial counsel and direction, and that's what a CPA will do for you. And that's why we recommend them. They cost money, but they can save you a lot of money in the long run.
Have any more questions online or here? Okay, well, we're gonna take a short 5 to 7 minute break. You can Okay, so that's a video that one of my professors showed me when I was in college, and I didn't quite know the point of it, and she showed it to us over and over again, and I didn't quite understand it. But after graduating college, starting my own small business, I really felt like I finally understood the importance of a mission statement that determine why you do something. Mr. Lloyd talked about something that really stuck with me. He asked, are my animals or my crop unique to the market, and what is my advantage? I think it's really hard to figure out what your advantage is without first establishing a mission statement. So I put together this template and just wanted y'all to maybe plug in ideas that y'all have. So for example, at whatever your business name is, we believe that whatever your objective is, if your objective is to grow quality horse hay, or, grow cattle that, can sustain humidity in Southeast Texas, that's your objective. We do this by creating or producing some type of product or service. I have adjective in product or service because you want to, like Mr. Lloyd said, determine and hopefully make stand out, place emphasis on what is unique about your company. So I'll come up with something. At Mitchell Cattle Company, we believe that birth weight in Angus calves is highly important. We do this by producing. Never really thought about this. Should have been prepared. We do this by producing.
By producing, yeah.
Low birth weight Angus bulls, thank you. So if you wanna, plug that in, I sent out a handout in the folders that have an area where you can write all that, and also this is up here. You can go ahead and do that while we transition to part 2 of Mr. Lloyd's presentation.
Okay, guys, back in session. What I want to do right now is take you into the Texas Comptroller's website so we can talk briefly about income that you guys can earn becoming certified historically underutilized businesses. First and foremost, before I go into that, a historically underutilized business in Texas and almost everywhere else means that you are either a Black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian individual, male or female. But also that designation has been given to white women as historically underutilized, because initially, when the government started looking at who's getting contracts, it was all white males. And so they excluded white males from the proposal of the bidding process, but they allowed white women in. And that has caused some issues in the marketplace, because we have found many instances where greedy white men have put their wives up, or somebody else as the owner of the business. And I want you to understand how important this is for African American, Hispanic, and other groups as far as what's available and what's going on. So I'm not a real big typer, and I don't do a lot of website stuff. What I prefer that people do is just simply, as I say what your name, mean what you say. So just type in Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts, and it's going to take you to the main web page. And when you click on the main web page, what I'll do is I'm walking you through this today pretty quickly so we can get to some of these stats that I want you guys to look at. But I can do a click by click and pass it back on to you guys so y'all know how to get back into the website later.
They said your audio is muffled.
Okay. We're making some adjustments here. So bear with us. Hopefully that's going to be better.
Does that sound better for our virtual participants?
Can we hear? All right.
Ashley,
Yes.
the sound is strange in the room, so I don't know what's going on Zoom.
Okay. I'm going to try to talk more directly into the speaker for you guys.
Push it away.
Yeah, so I will take the mic a little, because we're using the sound from here. If he talks normal, can y'all hear him? I know his back.
I never think I need a
All right.
mic. So, okay, guys, let's look at, you look at these buttons on the top of the page, you see taxes, transparency, economy, purchasing programs, and about. And the one that you're going to be most interested in is purchasing. So when you go to that window, you see all of these resources. And I will tell you that this website is one of the largest websites in the country, because Texas and California are the two leading states that do the most purchasing of items. The federal government does far more, but Texas and California do a lot. So when we look at resources that are available, today we want to focus on just going to the historically underutilized button. We click on that, and you'll see purchasing pulls up, and it says historically underutilized business program. On the left, you have these little bitty blue windows, home, purchasing, vendor, and hub. And under vendor, if you were looking for another hub business to do business with, to partner with, you would go in and search. You can search by location. You can search by the name of the company. You can search by the city you're in. You can search by the region. You can do all these different searches to find other hubs to do business with. Now, that used to be a button that was really large and easy to see. Don't ask me why it's over here on the left-hand side, but if you want to click on vendors to find out who they are, that's where you'll go. Now, when I come back out of this, if I have time, I'll go back into vendor and show you. But right now, when we go to the right side of the screen, you have all of these related links. And you have hub events. That will be meetings that are happening around the state, either live or virtual, that you can go to learn about who's selling what. So all of these state agencies, when we talk about state agencies, you have over 200 universities in the state of Texas that are in the hub system. Everybody's in the hub system. Small city governments are in the hub system, county governments, extension. Everybody has to go through the hub purchasing network or else they're breaking the law. So everybody uses the hub system. Even Shell Oil and Mobil use this hub system to find you guys when they're trying to meet their numbers, because the federal government, which most people don't realize, actually it rewards large businesses for doing business with us. And so I always say that the Exxon Mobils and the Shells and those large corporations, the Apples, they're on federal welfare, because when they give contracts to you, the government turns around and gives them a grant and just puts it right back into their pocket. So it behooves them to do business with you. Some of them make it a little bit difficult. Some of them don't make it difficult at all. So you need to know that not only is the state agency or a county government looking for you under this hub website, but so are these large corporations looking to do business with you. So registering for it is an important thing. I'm going to tell a quick side story because it makes sense when I tell it this way. I remember a young person. She actually was in Ames, Texas, and I met her at Lamar University. And at the time I met her, she was in Spring, Texas, I believe. And she told me that she had a job, her husband had a job, and they were trying to make ends meet. So they decided to do a janitorial business on the side. And they started cleaning a little building in downtown Houston every day. When she would get off from work, she would go to do the cleaning and he would come and join her. And they both had day jobs, but when things started downsizing, her husband lost his job. So he was at the business doing what he did. And they just kept plugging along, cleaning this building, doing what they did every day. And one day she decided to sign up to become a hub. And she hadn't used the hub site at all. She just registered to use it. And she was I think she was at her job one day. She got a phone call from somebody. And the guy says, we got some references on you. And we heard that you guys cleaned this building in downtown Houston. Who are you guys? And what do you do? Because we'd like to use you. And by the way, do you think you have enough employees to clean the 77-story Shell Tower in downtown Houston? She said, Mr. Hebert, when I fell off the ground and got back up again, and I realized what they had just said. They said, we found you on the hub website, and we're looking for somebody competent to clean our building. We're getting rid of the contractors that we have. Can you do it? So she said within a short period of time, she had 300 employees. They were making millions of dollars, and they were cleaning the building for Shell Oil, and it was all because they were on the hub website. So business can come to you, but you can also use this website to grow your own business. We have a question?
Somebody was asking, is that for women also? I'm not sure when it came in. Susan, can you clarify? I saw the question late. Is what for women? Oh.
Yes, all women qualify as hubs, no matter what their racial situation is, all women. So actually in Texas, it's all women, all minorities, male and female, and service-disabled veterans who I believe have a 40% service-connected disability or above. So they all qualify as hubs in the state of Texas. So that's the only time you'll see a white male become a hub is if they are a service-disabled veteran, they become certified as a hub. Did we answer that question?
Yeah, you actually answered her second part.
All right. So let's go in and let's actually, I want to go to the reports, hub reports and forms, because I think before you think about doing something, you need to understand why that whole thing from the last presentation in the TED Talks, why we do what we do. We do what we do because we see opportunity. So if you come over here to Hub Publications on the left, you will click on Hub Reports. And then under Hub Reports, it's going to give, by the time of the year, let's go in and look at the full report for 2020, the 2020 annual Hub Report. You're going to see at the top of the screen two things, an executive letter and an executive summary. The executive letter is the letter that the comptroller sends to the governor saying this is how our agency did and how all the other state agencies, universities, city government, county government did in doing business with Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, white women, et cetera. So that's their report. But the executive summary is going to lay out the data. I have spent thousands of hours in this website. I know the website better than the comptroller does. But you got to study, you have to research. I want all of you guys to become researchers. Research what you're looking for to find where you need to be. So when you click on executive summary, it's going to tell me to go and open it up here. Let's do that.
All right, there's a question while you're doing that. Do we need to be certified women-owned or certified minority-owned before or even applying?
No, you can certify. Okay, there we go. You can certify as a woman. All women are automatically minority-owned businesses, as I said. So there are certain certifications like women's business enterprise certification. All of these certifications move you higher up the ladder in terms of the importance in a hub system, a procurement system, a purchasing system. The most powerful position to be in terms of having the power to go in and have people look at you would be a Black female service-disabled veteran, because she's at the top of the pecking order. She hits all of the buttons. She's a minority, she's a woman, she's an ethnic woman, so she moves up higher than the white woman on the scale. So if you're a veteran, service disabled, that's the highest designation you could have in terms of being a minority-owned business. So I want to look at under this, the executive summary talks about what they spent money on, but in the sake of time, let's go straight to these expenditures. So you'll notice that in 2020, the state spent $25 billion on goods and services and purchases. Every pencil, every chair, every table in this room was bought through the purchasing process. Nobody just went out and bought it on their own from the government. It had to go through a purchasing process. Now, on the purchasing side, if you're a purchasing agent, your agency normally gives you the discretion to give contracts to minority owners that are under $25,000 without going to the formal bid process. Anything over $25,000 is going to be on the state's website to be bid on. Anything under the requirement is that that purchasing agent send 3 bids out, but 2 of them have to be to hubs. And then they can make a decision internally to buy something from you. So if you're selling cattle to Tarleton State University, to the farm for the university, that's a process you would go through. That purchasing agent, if you're going to sell 5 cattle, they probably don't need to bid that out to the general public. They can make that decision internally. So a lot of money is spent by purchasing agents on the lower end, but all the big money has to go and actively be bid on. So if it's a larger contract, it's going to always be on this website for you to look at. So they spent $25 billion in total sales in 2020, and they spent $2.9 billion of that with hubs, which was about 11.7%. That's pathetic because it doesn't reach the state's goals that are set by the legislature.
Right here, I think
for each of these categories. And ag, all of these things have categories of purchasing that you have to look at and see where is your opportunity. Are they buying enough of my product? If not, that's where I need to focus. Now, if you're in an ag business,
women, men,
do you need to sell an ag-related product to the government? No. You can sell anything you want to sell. You want to sell stuff that they're buying and use it to fund your operation at your ranch or your farm. So if you know that the state is buying a lot of goods related to schools and school systems, you might want to sell pencils, ink pens, papers, and computers. I don't know. But you can sell anything to them. That's a secondary business. But if you use it to fund your existing operation, that's what makes it a beautiful thing to do that gives you that extra leg up on everybody else. We have a question back here.
Get $500. Would they, they were interested in you on that, would they be able to add you into others, or would you just have to get that criteria?
Okay, so our question was, if someone is looking to buy 500 cows and you only got 100 cows, would you meet the criteria?
Real good question. Typically, when a bid goes out, the bids are written by those purchasing agents and they go through great detail to tell you exactly what you can and cannot do. In terms of you having 100 head of cattle, and let's say Texas A&M is buying 500 head for the ranch, you have the ability to sell your 100 head through the purchasing process. If the bid doesn't directly allow you to sell just 100 head of cattle, then you're going to want to partner with another rancher that has 400 head and say, can we go in together? So that's why I say when you go in and look at that vendor button, you're going to find people doing the same things that you do. That's where you're going to make those kinds of connections that make a difference. You could go in by yourself. On some bids, they'll let you sell just 100 and then they'll get a second vendor, pick up the rest. But on others, it may just be, we want 500 head, and we want them all to come from the same source. And that's where the bidding process, those people are called prime contractors. And so that prime contractor, if they only had 400 head, they're going to look at the hub site to find a rancher that has 100 head, and you would become a subcontractor under their contract. So everybody works together when need be to make that bid what it is to make Texas A&M get the right number of animals they need for their farm. So yeah, you can do it individually sometimes, but if the bid doesn't allow it, then you go in and you find out who those prime contractors that are going to bid on the 500 head and say, I have the best cattle in the marketplace and you need to put my 100 head in with yours, and they might sell 400 of theirs instead of 500 because yours allows them to then use the hub program to get their brownie points to say that they use the hub and partner with the hub on that contract. So it's all about those alliances that you can make. And so you have to always be marketing yourself, not even to the large white businesses, to let them know on these large bids, I may not have everything you need, but I have good products please include me on the bid process. And then most of them will write you in. If you have a relationship with somebody that's a long-standing relationship, they're gonna always write you in. They pick up the phone and call, say, I'm about to bid on cattle at so-and-so ranch in West Texas, you know, or whatever. What do you have? That's where the partnerships are made.
So
Okay.
online, they asked to repeat the question. And basically the question was, what if you don't have the quota that they're asking for? Can you partner with others? Or do you just have to meet the requirements of that quota in order to accept the bid?
Right, and I said that's gonna be flexible. It depends on the bid itself. Sometimes they'll only want a prime contractor. Sometimes they'll allow multiple people to bid and award multiple contracts. It just depends on the size of the contract. So once again, when you look at these statewide expenditures, $25 billion sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But you have to also understand too, that the state of Texas is bigger than that because it has a federal component. And the federal component is Health and Human Services Commission. So everything we see happening with meals for kids at school, with Medicaid, with healthcare, all of that runs through Health and Human Services Commission. They're included in this $25 billion, but they spend an additional $80 billion on goods and services because they get the federal money and they administer the Medicaid program for like 6-7 million Texans under Medicaid or Medicare. And so all of those services are also running as expenditures. They're just running on the federal side. So when we talk about federal spending, the federal government spends $4 trillion a year on goods and services contracts. And they're a lot easier to deal with once you get into their system. It's hard, but once you're in, they really want to do business with you because the president says they get to keep their jobs if they do business with minority businesses. So it's really critical that you look at all of these different avenues. So let's look at who owns Texas hubs. This has always fascinated me. It's always upset the governor when I make presentations because he doesn't want to hear me talk about his agency. The state, the governor's office never meets their goals. Sometimes they don't do any business with minorities. And I've been on their case forever. And, you know, it's the governor's office, so whatever. But look at the numbers of people who are hubs. The thing that has always concerned me is women make up more than 50% of the US population, yet they never make up the same percentage of businesses, period, or the same number of businesses that are registered as hubs. When we look at African-American businesses, you have 2,200 males, 1,678 females. And just so you get an understanding of who qualifies to be a hub in Texas, there are 29 million people in Texas. Of that 29 million, over 20 million actually could qualify to be a hub because they're either African-American, Asian, Indian, Black, or white woman. 70% of the residents of the state qualify as hubs, yet you don't see but 16,000 people utilizing this system. Make yourselves the numbers in this 16,000 people. And then of that 16,000 people, less than 26% ever get contracts because they don't really work it. A lot of people get hub certified and they go do something else. They don't work the system. The few African-American businesses, for instance, that I know that are working the system are multimillionaires because they understand the process. Some of them are contractors. They build things. They work in refineries, but they get these mega contracts because they understand the process and they don't mind putting in the work to do it. So you can earn $1,000 a year doing this, or you can earn $1 million a year, or you can earn $1 million in a day on a contract. So it's just, what is it that the state is buying? What do you have to sell, and how do they buy it from you? The next thing you need to understand quickly is you don't have to own anything to be a hub. You have to partner with the major suppliers around the country. So one of the first things you want to do is to find suppliers that are selling to state agencies and to the government and partner with them to get in their supplier network so that they look at you and pull you in on contracts, or they let you bid on them altogether and they let you use their product. So you have to partner and say, okay, if we do this, Procter and Gamble, I'm going to sell toothpaste to the prisons, and they say, okay, we're going to give you a bid. They give you the bid. You mark the bid up to make a profit, and then you turn it in on that contract. Once that bid is awarded, then you have the obligation to pay Procter and Gamble the money for the toothpaste, and then the remaining money is your profit. And you turn that around and put it right back in the business to do it all over again. So again, we think about prison system. They're buying everything. They buy animals. They buy chickens. I got a call one day from Sam Houston asking me, Mr. Hebert, can you buy 3,000 roosters I'm like, whoa, time out. But they want to sell 3,000 roosters that were aging out of their system. They didn't want to just kill them, or do whatever, incinerate them. So there are contracts that come up, opportunities that come up that you just have to be aware of. But I want more women to become hubs. I want more minorities to become hubs. I want more white women to actually run hubs and not have their husbands run them, which is a felony in the state of Texas. And I can't tell you how many people I've turned in. Because if I call and I ask for you as a white woman on business and they say, oh, she doesn't work here, her husband does, that just triggered a complaint to Austin, to the Attorney General's office, and say, I got a fraud case that y'all need to look at. So I'm always trying to level the playing field for you guys. But all y'all have to do is go in and work the system. And when the system doesn't work for you, you call us and we will call the state rep, we will call the local folk, and we will get them involved in the process. But just look again at the numbers here, the numbers of females, the numbers of Blacks, and it's pathetic. We should have 10 times more African Americans, 10 times more Hispanics that are actually using this program, because this program is what actually will fuel the local economies. When you put money into this system and get money out of it, this is your tax dollar. So why not use the HUB program to build your ranch, your farm, your crop production? If you sell pecan patties, and they're the best pecan patties in the world, sell them to the state of Texas. Find a way to sell them. If the governor's having a conference, find out what the conference is going to be looking for and offer your services, offer the products that you sell to that state agency so they can buy them. They get credit as doing business with the hub. You get credit because you put your product out there and you made a profit from it. So always look at that. But we need many more of you to become hub certified. And the system just went online July 28th. They pulled it offline for 2 months. Nobody could apply to be a hub. They just opened it back up at the end of July. It's online through a group called B2G Now. They're out of Phoenix, Arizona, and it's a work in progress. It isn't perfected yet. So if y'all go in to register and you get stuck, call B2G Now. If you're still stuck, call the Bid Academy Consortium, and we'll see what we can do. That's not our lane right now. We're letting the state struggle with their change because we were happy with the paper system, but changes happen. So now we know we're going online. So when we look at who got what, only 504 African-American businesses got an award in 2019, and only 503 got one in 2020. But $310 million was given to African Americans, and that would be female and males lumped together under Black Americans. So when you look at that 310 million, if you divided that by 503, that would tell you the average size of each contract. But that doesn't mean that all 503 people got an equal amount of this money. As I said, the people who are really working this system, and if it's Black Americans, it might just be 100 that are getting close to 300 million of that, because they understand the process, they got a large award, and they know, and they're delivering for the state the goods and services that they need. You can sell consulting services, which is what I do. You can sell products, which is what most of you in this room do. You can sell goods. And like I said, if you sell a good, you don't have to have the warehouse. You just have to know the best supplier, the best company to go through to partner with, so that they will always give you a bid. You always plug that bid amount in, put your pricing in for a profit. And people always ask me, Mr. Hebert, what's the best profit margin since this is so competitive? And I always say, I would err on the side of going low and making a little bit so that you get into the system. Because what happens is, let's say you get a bid from University of Houston, and they want to sell, they're actually buying a lot of paper products for the bookstore. So they're buying pencils, ink pens, just a whole bunch of stuff. So it's like $100,000 contract. Once they award that $100,000 contract to you as a hub, then they can do what they call spot bidding. They don't want to write another bid, but they keep using up these supplies. These are consumable items. So once they spend that $100,000 that they gave you in contract, they have to keep buying pencils, ink pens, papers, all the things that they buy. If they can do it with the purchasing agent just picking up the phone and saying, hey, I want to do a spot order for $8,000, can you get it to me in 2 days? Then you're in the loop. You don't have to bid anymore. They may wind up spending $200,000 with you, even though they only gave you a $100,000 contract. Because once you're in the system, they don't have to actively go out and do another bid, a large bid, because it takes a whole room full of people to write those bids, and they don't like it. But once you're in, they might just keep calling you to fill bids, and all you do, if you're selling cattle, can you send me 2 more cattle this week? Oh, yeah. And before you know it, you've moved all your cattle on that one contract because you were in the loop. So once you get in the system, that's where they don't have to actively go out for a competitive bid anymore. So anyway, looking at these numbers, look at the white woman businesses and look at the disparity amount of money that they earn. $1.1 billion of the 2.9 went to white women. I'm not against white women earning money, guys. I think they should. But I just think you guys need to be more represented in the marketplace. And that's what upsets me, is that more of y'all aren't in here doing what you need to do to get your piece of the pie and make your tax dollars work for you. It'd be nice if you could make enough money doing this to not owe any taxes at home. That would be one of my goals first, is to make enough money as a hub to not have to pay income taxes, because I'm in a high enough bracket now. I'm making enough money as a hub that I don't have to pay taxes at home. My income taxes can be written off through this process. So look at who's doing what. Service-disabled veterans are even more sadly represented, because I know there are 2 million vets in the state of Texas, and over half of those are service-disabled vets. And so this has not been marketed. The state has not marketed to veterans and women-owned veterans like they should. But now today, I'm telling you, that process is open for you to earn a lot of money as a primary income or a secondary income. So you can use this process to do what you need to earn extra income, to feed the family, to pay a light bill, to feed your cattle, to bring in new water that you need to bring in, to dig a gully. You use that money to do that rather than going out and borrowing money, because this is money that's already in the system circulating. So why shouldn't it be circulating through your businesses? And that for anybody in this room, like I said, you don't have to sell cattle. You can sell, ink pens and pencils if you want to. Just as long as you do something as a separate business to earn money, to fuel your calibration. That's the important thing about how the hub program can help you.
All right, there was a question, not sure what that means on the hub and not having to pay taxes.
I was merely saying that using the income that you earn as a business operation will help you underwrite your cost, and you can use money earned to actually pay your expenses at home. And that will allow you to reduce your tax liability over time to where your businesses are operating at a profit and you're making enough money where you have the tax write-offs to lower your tax liability. May mean that you pay less, and for some, the large folk don't pay any income taxes because they use systems like this to underwrite their overhead, and they are allowed then, because they have good, CPAs, to help them write off everything that they're doing.
It's legal.
And it's legal. And everything that I do, if I have to have a corporate meeting while I'm out, if I eat today while I'm on the way back, I will have a meeting with one of my board members, Mrs. Hebert, and that luncheon will involve talking about the business. And then we're gonna write off that meal. That's legal because we had a business meeting. And I call the meeting to order and then she adjourns it. And then we're going about our business. And we keep that receipt for the CPA, or in this case, my COO, my chief operating officer, who does all of our taxes. So that's all we're saying is use what you can to reduce your tax liability as much as you can, because everybody else is doing it. Why not us? When you look at what they spent money on, where most of my hubs wind up is in these areas at the bottom called commodities in 2020 and other services. You see 21% hub goal, 26% hub goal, but they actually only spent 10% on other services, 10.7 with hubs. And commodities was 10.7 and other services was 13.8. Professional services met their goal. They got 29% businesses with hubs. So when you look at those statewide goals, heavy construction has always lagged. So if you know somebody that does heavy equipment and heavy construction, they need to be a certified hub. They need to be a federal contractor, because most of those contracts on state highways involve contracts with the federal system. Y'all just heard that the infrastructure bill just passed. That's going to be trillions of dollars of money coming to the table for that kind of operation. So if you're in anything, you can be in professional services or other services, helping the heavy industry or the building construction industry, because they need to buy supplies and stuff from other hubs as well. So you don't have to be in the construction area, or you may know somebody in the construction area. You can be the hub, and you can put them to work for you. So there's all kinds of ways, all kinds of angles to make the system work to your benefit. Yes.
All right, there was another question. If the business is owned by a husband and wife, can the wife sign up on the hub?
Yes, and the woman should, because she's going to be higher up the scale than even the black male or the Hispanic male would be. So women are considered a higher rating than men. So yes, the woman should apply and become the hub. And there's a lot more data. They talk about term contracts and group purchasing and all this other stuff, but I want you to focus on what your lane is. I'm gonna back out of here now and go back to vendors, which was on the second screen that we went to. So going back to the hub program at the top, when you click into the hub program, you see vendor here. Show you real quickly how to find a vendor. Over on the right, you see search hub and CMBL vendors. Hub is the free program. It's good for 4 years. There's no charge to become a certified hub. The CMBL, which is called the Centralized Masters Bidders List, is a master list of anybody who wants to be notified of the large purchasing contracts, $100,000, $1 million, 100 million, whatever. So if you click on the CMBL, you can register and pay $70 a year to be on the Centralized Masters Bidders List. I tell people that's like hiring a secretary for $6.33 a month, because the system automatically searches bids for you and sends them to your email. So otherwise, if you're a hub, you got to go in and search for yourself. So I recommend the CMBL. I am not currently on the CMBL because we just redid our website and reposted stuff, but we'll be back on the CMBL this week. I'm going to go into and show you real quickly. How much time do I have? 6 minutes. Okay, quickly. This is what the search for vendor site looks like. So I told you could search by business category or vendor. So let's say I wanted to know how many hubs there are and who they are in Wharton County. I would just strictly go in here, scroll down to Wharton. There's Wharton. We click on Wharton and we just tell it to search for, this says CMBL only, hubs only. Let's say all vendors. Let's search for all vendors in Wharton County. And let's see who's using the hub system in this county right now and what their breakout is. So you have 24 vendors at the top of the page in Wharton County. Only 7 of them are hubs. And I know there's a whole lot of minority people in Wharton County. Why are there only 7 hubs in all of Wharton County? I do not know. And when you look at these businesses, Absher Dietary Consultants, that's a white woman. If you look to the right, hub eligibility, she's a white woman. And look down the page, the rest of these are white men because Arctic Systems, BLS Construction, BR Kutcher, they're all just regular old on the CMBL looking for contracts. They're white, male-owned businesses, all of them. So when we scroll down the page, it's going to take us a while to get to African American or Asian, isn't it? White woman, look at this. This is sad, y'all. One Hispanic business. Here's a whole Rosie Express LLC in Wharton, black owned. And then we get back to white males again and the white female. So you got to really search to find African American businesses in this county. And that should not be, people. It should not be. Look in Liberty County. Look in, which county is Bay City in? Matagorda. All of these counties have an underrepresentation of us using this program. We need to be using this in rural America to fuel the rural economy and to build our pocketbooks up. And this is where you do it at. So I want everybody to focus on that.
There's a question of, is there anything for forest owners selling wood products or harvesting timber?
The government buys everything. I will repeat myself. They buy everything, including timber, yes. It depends, and most of that is done usually through research organizations and universities. But yeah, they do that. They buy timber, they buy trees, they buy everything. Anything you can think of, the government buys. And they buy a lot of it on the federal level, and they buy a lot of it on the state level. Wharton County, the city of Wharton, they do contracting. The county does contracting, everybody does contracting. So you can see this is just a quick look at what the site looked like if you were looking for a vendor. And then last little quick thing I want to show you under these same resources is the commodity book. So what sell? The commodity code book is a listing of all those commodities that are being sold. And when we look at, we can look by class, we can look by alpha index, you can look in a number of ways. But when we pull these up, it's going to pull up the different areas. So the first thing under A is abrasives. You see agricultural crops and grains, agricultural equipment, equipment and implement parts, air compressors and accessories. And when we click on, let's click on 19 crops and grains, okay? Give you an idea. Each is going to have its individual category of stuff the government is currently buying. So they're buying barley, berry crops, buckwheat, corn, cotton, fruits, grapes, hops, melons, millet, nuts, oats, potatoes.
So when those bids go out, they go out with category 19. Item number 47 would be grapes. People selling grapes. So they buy everything, and that's how you find out what it is you're going to sell. When you put your profile together, you tell them all the things you want to sell. You might want to sell all of these if you got them, or have access to them, or just one. Just whatever you want to do.
How did the vendors get on that list?
How do the vendors get on the CMBL, or when you say on the list? This is just on the website. You
I
can go.
think in there you had vendors that were like the hub, the historically underserved, and then how do you get the white male primaries on the list?
The white males that you see are strictly on the centralized master's bidders list. They paid $70 in Wharton County to get on the list. And then, so they get every bid that you get, they get it too. So that's the difference. Now, if you pay to be on the CMBL and pay the $70 a year, you get those same bids, the same time, the same as the white guy got it. So you can look at it and decide if you want to bid on it yourself. Because you go in and you bid on it, you have preference because you're a hub. So that's what those categories look like. And when I say everything, I do mean everything, people. Go to what? F, yeah. Now these are categorized. So you're going to see different things, the different groupings. So this is not all the Fs. This is just one section under one grouping. So you see here foods, bakery products, food processing, foods perishable. Under foods perishable, that might be a contract that you might do to a state prison. So Rocher is always buying stuff. They're always asking for bidders because they have to buy large quantities of food to feed the people that are out there. Sometimes they buy animals, sometimes they buy crops, sometimes they buy other things, but they buy everything because they have to. Okay. So did that help you out? And that's, again, I forgot what category we went to, but that's just one of the categories under the class and item codes. If you keep going and scrolling down the page, you're going to get to a whole nother set of stuff. So you see, even all the way down to research services, higher education, renting and leasing of equipment. A lot of things fall under this 961 and 962 miscellaneous services, not otherwise classified. So if I click on that one, just as an example, let's see what they mean by not otherwise classified. It's going to pull up administrative services. Look, agricultural services, including environmental, artists, beef, pork, meat processing services, beverage and processing, building permit services, chartering, government codes. They buy government code certification, concessions, cost estimating, court reporting, economic development consulting, dairy products. All of this stuff is on the commodity code book. So you just have to look for and see where you fit in. But you're probably going to fit in under multiple classification codes. So you would strictly put that item number and the code. If it's code 961, item 75, translation services, you would type that in and that would populate into your profile. That's when an agency is looking for translation services, it's going to automatically pull you up. If you're on the CMBL, state law says the purchasing agent has to go to the CMBL first and try to find a contractor that's going to bid, and then they got to go to the hub and look for a hub. If you're on the CMBL already in your hub, you just made their search a whole lot easier. Okay, so it's a massive system. Like I said, it's a learning process. The course that we teach is 24 hours. And then we do massive consultation because when we turn a business loose in our business, we can't guarantee they're going to get a contract. We want to guarantee they know what they're doing so they can get a contract. So we work really hard in this process to make them understand everything on this website and everything that they need to do with their business plan everything they need to do with their products, and how to actively market themselves to do what they need to do. So hopefully this gives you another major avenue to earn income, to think about how to add value to your farm, to your ranch, to your food products, your restaurant, whatever it is you're doing. Use this hub program because that's extra income. I have businesses that use the hub program, especially just before COVID. They used the hub program to keep people on the payroll so they didn't have to lay them off. Because when they got a contract in, they took that profit and they put it back in the business and they made payroll with it. So it's that vital to you to have money coming in from a secondary source, so that if you can't sell your cattle because there's a moratorium on it, you can do something else and still pay the bills. So this is the way you still pay the bills, guys. Any questions? Everybody looks like they're just floored in here. And I know I covered a lot of territory in a short period of time. Like I said, this is like a 24-hour training, but y'all got a little glimpse of what it's like to go into the system and get Hub certified and how it can help. Even on the nonprofit side, I encourage nonprofits to do a for-profit hub, earn income from it, and donate it directly to the nonprofit. And that's how the nonprofit, if it doesn't have enough grant money coming in, can operate. If you have a feeding program as a nonprofit, use this hub program, set you up a for-profit business, and when you make money, you donate it, which gives you a total tax write-off on that side, straight over to the nonprofit business and let them use it for their operations to provide food for the homeless or whatever you're doing. So it works always, both ways, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Hebert. We have one more question.
I have a statement. Mr. Hebert spent a lot of great time talking about how you can do business, but his area of expertise, the reason why Landowners Association brought him here, is because he is excellent at tying what Mr. Mitchell talked about, his handout, finding out what you want to do, and knowing if you know how to do it, and getting to do it. His area of expertise is business plan development. You can't do none of that stuff he's talking about unless you have a business plan. And you've got to have a tight business plan so that you know what you do. And you got to be able to stick to what your mission and your passion is. We at Landowners Association are so excited to be able to partner with AgriLife here in this community. And we want you to know that all of the stuff we covered last week and all of the stuff we covered this week is just touching the surface of what it is we can do for you in the future. So any of these areas that you're interested in, we have curriculum that we can expand and bring it to you. All you've got to do is ask us. Thank you.
Don't let your land go. It's the most valuable resource you got.
Thank y'all again. All right, for our next presentation, we'll have Mr. Dwight Callis from DLC Ranch. He'll come somewhat give a testimony, I guess, on his operation. Really excited about it. If you have any questions, if you have any questions for him, if you could ask him after his presentation, we'll get them answered. There'll also be a survey. We'll have a survey here in person and also on Zoom. So if you'll stick around after he speaks, we'll have that come up, and if you can answer that survey, it'll really help us out a lot. So pass it to you, Mr. Callis.
Well, thank you, Braxton. It's a pleasure for me to be here when I love to walk around. When Braxton called me, I said, and told me asked me to be on the program, so I talked to him what it was about. And I told him, I said, Braxton, you're probably asking the wrong fellow to come there and talk about this, because I have kind of a unique way that my business got started. Ms. Hebert, I'll talk to you after. I should have you before I even got started. They come and meet with me, but as I don't know, many of y'all know, I was a county assistant in there in Austin County for a while, was assistant in Jackson County, then finished my career there in Fort Bend County for 34 years. And that came about 3 years before I retired. I told my wife, I said, we had raised cattle, commercial cattle down in Edna, Texas, down in Jackson County for a number of years. With my parents down there. And so I said, I kind of want to get in the club cat business. I want to raise some club cats for these kids to show, because my kids, 3 kids, were involved in that. And so she said, well, what are you going to do? I said, we're going to start kind of putting some cows together so that when I retire, I can have that start. So that was my initial plan in terms of, I guess, Braxton, and starting out thinking about what you wanted to do and kind of getting a mission of where we wanted to go, was what I wanted to do there to raise club cats. And so when I retired, I owned about 10 clubby cows that I bought starting 3 years before I retired. And we started out on those cows to some goals that were pretty high in the club calf industry there. And so our first set of calves that came off those bulls actually came off that set of cows. I retired in March of 2012, and we sold our first calf in, I guess it was May of 2012. And so that plan, because I didn't want to sell any of my 4 acres before I retired, so that plan kind of worked out. I have 3 kids, older son that probably is more to the sports side of things, and then my middle son, he's probably following dad's footsteps. He's there at Redlands Community College in El Reno. He's over the ag program there, where he has been livestock, the livestock education coach, but now he's over the ag program there at Redlands Community College. Brandon and I, he used to be at Glenn College, so we decided that we're going to raise some cattle. He wanted to do the same thing. Him and his wife, she's from Oklahoma, they have a set of Simmental cows. So we're going to branch this club calf business together. Dad goes out and leases about 200 acres up at Brenham, and we start running some cattle up there. So here's Dad, the old man that he let come in on this lease. And I think that was more for me to pay for the lease. But anyway, he said, I'll run your cattle up here for free if you want to do that. And so it wasn't for free. Whenever your kids say something free, it wasn't for free. But it worked out good. There was a great advantage for both of us, because he was young. He did all the AI, he did all the breeding. Hey, Dad just kind of paid for that lease, all feed up there. So everything was really good. Well, I decided we needed a barn at my place to be able to sell and market our cattle. The progeny off of those cattle. So that's where DLC Livestock kind of started. When I retired there in 2012, I started working on this barn, and so we built it strictly for marketing our cattle. And I always say that God plan trumps ours all the time. As I was there selling those calves out of that barn, and when I retired, we didn't have another county agent come into Fort Bend County in the force program for about 3 months. So all of those kids that I've been helping find animals for the fair, those parents came to me and said, Mr. Callis, can you continue to buy our projects because we don't have an agent? And I said, well, yeah, I can do that. I don't have a county vehicle, I don't have a county trailer, so I'm gonna have to use mine. I'm just gonna have to pay me for my expenses. They said, no problem. And so we started doing that, and that just kind of led on to Dwight Callis' business that I'm in now, and not only in Fort Bend County, but actually we have quite a few counties. So today, and I know I'm going to run out of time, but we're going to go through and tell you a little bit about what we do at DLC Livestock, why we do it. Braxton it was very interesting when I started looking at the video that you showed. Sometimes we sit back and we think, why are we here? I've said that a lot at this particular time. But one thing that my business, and I wanted it built on And my pastor actually told me that, he said, Dwight, you're in that place, you're doing that, because we don't only do livestock at DLC livestock, we don't only do livestock. I guess if we had to have a mission, we had to have one of those deals down there to really call your attention to what we tell people, is we're there, our main purpose there is to make that young person a better person. That cow, that lamb, that steer, those hogs, all that, that's just a carrot. Just to get that kid in doing something that's positive in life, learning some responsibility. So that's my lead whenever I meet with new people and they sit down. There's two things I ask them. I said, I'm a very faithful person. So if you have a problem with my faith, I'm probably not the person for you. The other thing, if you're here bringing your kid here to make money, go do something else, because they're not going to make money in this particular industry. And so I like the level, be upfront with them. I said, but what it will do, it's going to give them all those 6 pillars of characters that we're trying to teach them. It's just going to reinforce those. Plus, I look back at my own kids, and I had to convince my wife too, but I look back at my own kids, I didn't have to worry about where they were in the afternoon. I knew where they should be in the barn to take care of the animals. They met a lot of people, met a lot of friends, didn't have to pay for a lawyer. All those things added up, and at the end of the day, when we quit our particular, my kids quit showing or graduated out, there was $125 left in the livestock project. I said, geez, because we had paid for some college out of there, we had paid for their animals out of there. They had really gained a lot of knowledge. So that's the thing I wanted to bring back. So we started DLC Livestock. And of course, I have to put, everybody wants to know what that L stands for. That's my wife. Her name is Lorena. So it's Dwight and Lorena Callis is what it stands for. This young man here was Kate Denhouse, came to me when he was probably about 5 years ago, maybe. He just graduated this year. His mom and dad used to have to bring him out there to work. They drive him because he didn't have a license. I never thought about having an employee. And my wife asked me, she said, I didn't know you made enough money to hire somebody full time. I said, I don't. But I'm 60-some years old. I'm going to find a way to pay that kid because he saved me a lot of steps. So he was kind of I had 3 young men to work for him, but Kay was kind of the one that came on full time probably for the last 4 years and also worked for him. But what we do starting out, we talk about a cow operation. I'll tell you a little bit about my son that's up in Oklahoma. This is actually a calf we raised up in there at the Oklahoma place. This is at the San Antonio Lock. This calf was second in the middleweights there, but this is what I want to tell you ranchers. And we'll get to another one, I'll tell you about that. But this calf, we started breeding for this purpose, okay, to try to go there. This was also a marketing deal for us because we spent a lot of money in buying bulls, we spent a lot of money in flushing. Right now, where we're putting embryos in, this calf is actually an embryo calf. This calf sold for $10,000 to that kid from us. But we had about 2,500 in weed. So that's a pretty good profit that you make on that calf. Does it always work that way? No, it doesn't. This is another thing that we do. You look at this heifer right here. This is what we do at DLC in our cow operation. We actually raise them. We actually sell them. This is another heifer that we brought in. You look at her, you don't think she's too special, do you? Just looks like a big hairball, right? That right there. That's that same heifer. After about 2 hours of clipping and giving a haircut. Is she different? Marketing again. I probably could have sold that heifer. Actually, this one sold for $4,000, but I probably could have sold her for more. I mean, wouldn't have sold for that much if I'd have showed her that she was in this lot before. So that's what we do. But it's one thing that guides me again, and my wife will say this. Probably being really honest, I could have sold that heifer, put it in sale, and I'll show you another one here a little later. I probably could have got for her, but I didn't. Because I knew what I had a little kid that had just had that 4,000 really good skin. And so I let him have this good heifer. He had a really good year with her. Make me feel a whole lot better, make him feel a whole lot better. So sometimes in my business, whether it's right or wrong, Ms. Hebert, I let the good Lord guide me on what to do. and in this charging process because you know, he's an investment take care of it. We'll go to the next one. They came in that we actually raised, and that's the place there where we bring them in. We'll get these cows off the road. This right here is a limousine. He's a Lemmy Cross. He actually showed Houston this year in Manhattan. The other one is what we call a Charlotte composite that's standing right there behind me. This is the hair we're talking about again, the raise. You're going to really fall out. This hair sold for $27.5. Online sale we have. Okay, my son is really good at getting those things clipped and a lot better than that. Getting them clipped and getting them presented. But that's a different marketing alternative. So what we looked at that deal, we're going to raise, if we're going to have, and we still have some commercial cattle, but we make sure that our bulls are just as good, or, you know, we try to get them great. It takes the same amount of feed to cook them as it does to feed a cattle. Okay, so if we can change that and turn our marketing alternative, I think it's the next slide. This is the next slide. This calf right here came locally from a man right down the road here in Wharton County. Okay, he actually raised this calf. I helped him, just kind of helped him select and set up some cattle, and you know, he's run the commercial operation. But we bought really good bulls, we bred them up, we kept some of those heifers. This calf is one of those that came out of that. I did the setup and the helping with him. I went over, saw this calf, looked at him, and I said, hey, we can sell that one. He said, well, yeah. And I said, yeah. So what do you think I can get? I said, what do you want for him? He said, man, if I could get $1,000, $1,200, it'd be good. I said, I bet I'll $2,500. You got me, kid. And I said, let me have it. So he comes to my place and we clip him. We get him all ready to show. The people came, they looked, $2,500. They were happy because they were expecting to spend about $3,000. He's the champion American at the Fort Bend County Fair. Everybody's happy. The guy was happy he got his money. I got my percentage out of there. The people were happy. So that's where, again, he just bought better bulls to run with some of his cows so that he could have that alternative. Instead of selling that calf for $800 or $1,000 at the local market, look what he put in his pocket. Just another different marketing alternative in terms of doing that. This is just another one here because I do a lot of buying and selling. Yes, ma'am.
I have my granddaughter here, and we were talking this morning on the way here about the different breeds. So do you mind just saying what the breed is that she's looking at the picture?
Yes. Okay.
She just asked for breed identification.
Go back. Let's start with the first
Oh, the first.
one. Go back. Okay. This one right here. We can go about that one. This one right here, and you have to understand within the Texas, I guess it's called classification guideline on Texas steerships. We have guidelines of what those steers should look like and how they should be bred. This calf here is a Lemmy Cross, so he's got limousine in him and he's got Charolais. They only have to be 50% to be able to show, you know, in that particular breed in the limousine. So we call him a limousine. Now, we could have showed him as what? A Charolais too, okay? He might have been a little different in color, or we could have showed him in what they call a other color, but we chose to thought he fit better in the limousine, okay? Next one. This heifer, if you, like I said, if you look at her when she comes in, you think she's just a hairball because she's got a lot of hair on her. She's actually a Maine and Jew Simmental cross. But guess what? She was able to be registered in the Maine and Jew Association, but also in the Grade Up Association in the Simmental, a Grade Up program in the Simmental Association because of the percentage she had. But we just called her a Maine and Jew, is what we call her, okay? That's good. This is another limousine cross. He's actually a limousine Maine cross, so he kind of contends with that chocolate color. And the calf standing right behind you is actually what we call a Charolais composite. There again, he's like a Charolais Maine Angus, the calf that's standing behind you. Okay. And then this heifer right here, she is dual registered in the Breeder Association. She's actually Maine and Jew, and she also has some Chianina in her, So she can choose a man, Jew, and Indian. So she has 2 sets of papers on her. So those are, and then this was actually an American. This gift was out of a Chalet bull that actually came from my son, that my son, producer here, bought from my son. And it's out of it's kind of I guess a Gert. Somebody was asking about Gert's a while ago. Who's asking about Gert's? Like that. She's actually kind of a Gert Maine cross cow, but she kind of had a little blondish color to her. So that's what that calf was out of right there. And then the next one, we're going to call him a Maine. It's what I'm going to call him. Okay. And he's probably a Maine Angus. He came out of, I got that calf out of South Dakota. Is where he came from. And so, but he also, that's a calf that was bought for this kid's senior year, and he won the county show. So what we do there too, we actually offer consulting programs in our big cow operation with these kids. They can come and buy a project from us. They can also, we offer them a consulting program. They don't have to take it. If they take that, they come back on a monthly basis. We monitor them. We do weight. We're going to tweak feeding programs, and we're going to always, any type of health issues that we can do. If not, we have them work with their vet. We do that. Plus, again, we work on showmanship every time they come. And so that's a big advantage for them, that we can kind of keep that eye on them and make sure that they've got a successful project as they go off. Okay. Other part that Dwight Callis, and like I said again, our deal is multifaceted. We got so many different parts. This is the sheep component, okay? Yes, I raise sheep. So we got into the club sheep that we raise. This is our new buck here, and I think we got it on the next page. We do the same thing there. We raise them, but also we do consulting with kiddos on their projects. This buck here, we just bought him last year. We call him Shooter because of the way he's bred. But that buck right there is, we're hoping that's going to really elevate our lamb program. Our lamb program just started. We think we've got our cattle program pretty perfected. We're raising some really good ones, getting them out there. But now we're concentrating more on the sheep program. And I'm doing that here locally there in Eville, Texas. So we run about 30 ewes right there. I've got another partner of mine that's over in the Siena area. He has about 30 ewes. So what we do, we split those bucks. This buck costs us like $3,000 to buy him. So we split that, and we split all bucks. We've got a 4-buck battery right now, round battery that we're using on those ewes. So next one. This is at our facility there again. And I told my wife, she didn't even see this, and my daughter said, "Dad, you want to put that picture in there?" I said, "Yeah, this will show you." Now, this is my grandson. This is the little kid that comes over and volunteer. He's from Oklahoma. This is my other grandson over here. You see there in the hoodie. Now, he's the one that runs track. He's a sports guy. So guess where he was with all his work stuff? He was on his phone standing up there in the corner. And I wish I had the next one in there because actually we got him involved in the animal part of it too. Now, he's very good at sports, but we got him involved. And guess what he said at the end of the day? You know, I kind of like that, Poppy. But, you know, come on and show, get involved. It's one of the best things for kids to get involved in those youth education programs, FFA or either 4-H. But I just want to share the transition. This is where we started those lambs and our marketing deal and getting them ready. We bring them here, we get them washed. What they're doing now actually is blow drying them, getting them dry. Next picture. Then we get them on the table. This is another young lady that worked for me this summer. You see there, she has sheared that lamb, kind of doing some follow Texas on him. And this is what he looks like when we get them ready to go to the show. So we do that. We go back and get those animals ready for each one of those kids if they wanted to go to the show. This is also another, I talk about that consultant part. We actually bring kids there when they come there. We work with them on showmanship. We work with them on getting their land set up. That's a little show pen we have there in the barn. That's another group. Something with my business is it attracts a lot of kids, but I also attract a lot of kids that want to come help. They want to come work there. These kids, the young lady here, the other one lady that was sharing, their parents wanted to pay me for those kids to come work during the summer. And I said, you can't pay me for your kids to work. But they came and they worked all summer. And so they're both in college. Those kids are both in Blend. So we try to have that family type atmosphere over there. We always say if you're part of DLC Livestock, it's part of the big family. This is, and I thought I'd throw this one in there. We try to make a lot of impact with kids, and sometimes we don't know, you don't know how impactful you are. I'm probably one of those that really didn't notice how impactful. This girl that's standing here with the picture there to your left, she's a graduating senior. And I put it here to tell the story because when they came to me they were with me about 3 years. The young lady's confidence level was here on the ground, no confidence. Would hardly talk, wouldn't hardly look me in the eye. As I worked with Megan, because she hadn't had any success, nobody there to just really say you can do it. And so school wasn't going to be an option for her to either do that. She showed lamb. This is her last lamb she showed. We took this picture after I sheared him and got him ready for her to go. This is only about 3 weeks ago. She's decided to go to college. She's actually going to go to not Sam Houston, up in Nacogdoches.
Stephen F.
Stephen F. Austin. She's actually going to Stephen F. Austin. And guess what she's going to major in? She wants to be a teacher. She said, Ms. Callis, the reason I want to be a teacher is because of you. I said, Megan. So it's a lot of tear jerking going on in my place too. But just to show this girl has so many down things in her life. And now she's so positive. You look at that smile on her face. Her senior year, she was able to win her about 5 or 6 buckles. She never won a buckle in her life. She always wanted to win one, buckles and banners. That was her goal that she had set for herself. She didn't achieve it, didn't start it. And I always told my favorite words to her, I said, girl, I'm gonna tell you this. When the good Lord is ready for you to receive that, you will receive it. If he's not, you're not, but you're gonna still be all right. And so she came back and she said, you're right. And I think it was 6 or 7 that she won from a span of October of last year until this summer. And so she graduated out. This one here, I threw this in here, Braxton, because we're in Wharton County. This is one of the kids we consulted with that had a lamb last year that was a reserve champion lamb here at the Wharton County Youth Fair. So we do have a lot of customers here too. Got some men here from Matagorda County. I think I owned the whole lamb show last year. I think they had 20 some lambs. I think we had 14 or 15 in that show. So the business that part of my business is doing really good and we really enjoy it. Next one. This is another one just to show that this kid here, I never did think. It's funny how you can run into people in this business that you wouldn't think you'd run into. We had some things, and boy, we like to get that in extension that where I actually got interviewed by a Texas Ranger, okay? This young man up here, that's another Texas Ranger daughter that comes and consults with me. Kind of flip that deal, didn't it? So we get all types, we get all kinds out there. We get everybody, and guess what? We're just making one big old family. This is my partner holding, my other partner there, Robert Malene, that's holding the reserve champion lamb. That was out of his view, out of my ram, that we raised ourselves or reserve at Fort Bend County. So we're happy with our program as it's going right now. But our big thing is that young lady that's standing there showing that one. That's the one that we're there to try to help. Okay, next one. Okay. We do goats too. Y'all didn't know that we did all. We do goats too. This is a goat. We usually bring those goats. We don't raise any. Okay, all the goats are brought in. How many of y'all think goats you can still buy a goat for $125? They're about $250 at the sale. Okay, you know how much a goat like this for a kid to show nowadays? What I tell them, minimum to come to me if they want me to try to find them one is $1,000. And they can go up. Probably any project that we have out there for kids to show today, the one in terms of quality that is the most escalated in price to buy a good one is a goat. Okay, is a goat. So it's a great outfit. A lot of people are trying to get into the goat. Is it expensive? Yes, it's expensive to get in that business and raise them, but we have them there. And we kind of do the goats the same way. This is one that, it came in rough. This is right before a show. We got this guy sheared up, ready to go. And if I remember right, that goat was up at Dallas. We're kind of a one-stop shop when we get that. I think he went to state fair with like 4th or 5th in class at state fair. But we get those ready. I think I got another one in here. That's the young man that works in my barn over there. I'm so proud of this picture because that's one of the goats we helped get him. And guess what? He showed at Oklahoma. He was second in his class at a big show up there. So he said, Mr. Callis, you got to put that one in there for me. So that's again what we do is get them all the way to the show, teach them showmanship, so they can go present. Got a question?
What is that disease that goes sick of teeth?
Are you talking about like urinary cacti or?
Worms or whatever?
Oh, worms down here in this area, they get a lot. We have to worm about every 30 days. I have all my 4-H FFA members, they worm goats and lamb every 14 days, 14 and 21.
What automatically?
We alternate wormers. Yeah, we alternate wormers when we do that. Okay?
Going to share something with you. I don't know if you remember 3 years ago, Wharton FFA. My grandson was the first junior FFA member that we had. And I brought a lamb for you. That was the lamb that we took to the fair, that they skin up and did all things to, when Kelsey came and purchased the lamb.
Oh, okay.
For me.
Yeah.
For my grandson. And we had a lot of problems.
Mhm.
The only reason why I'm sticking around in FFA or Wharton is because FFA and Wharton has a lot of problems. They have never had loss. They have always been mistreated and they had to move on. So I made myself a promise that we were going to stay. The first year we had the lamb, she showed us nothing. You were there the morning that her husband actually broke it, burned, and did all the things that the judge said it wouldn't qualify the lamb. Showed us nothing. And they thought they was gonna run us away. I wouldn't leave. I told them that day, I said, I'll take you what. I'm not going nowhere. I'll be back next year with my other grandson. Not knowing if I could afford it or whatever. But we got into the cattle business. I was a full-time caterer. I quit catering because I had a point to prove that I was gonna keep my grandkids in FFA. And we were just as good as the next person there. So, year before last, we showed, we couldn't do anything because of the COVID thing we went on. But this year, my grandson, we have been showing Brahmas, Ethelons, and we have a heifer. He came out to this livestock show and with his heifer, he won showmanship and first place. We came with our Brahma, which our Brahma don't know that she's actually a cow. Because the love and the time that we got her, we spent so much time with Ruby. And like you say, when you name him, you can't get rid of him. But anyway, he came out here, he took the fair this year. You were here, you see him. He took the fair. He won every division of Dwight Brahma's beef bastard, everything. But you already know that we're won. So we didn't get the recognition that we needed, but I'm not gonna quit. And I came back to support. Because we're gonna get a 4-H together. And I am glad that I have met you now, because I am getting more people involved in this business 4-H and FFA. So that we have more blacks in this area, that we can come out and show. And my main thing is to get a breeder that's gonna sell, that'll also come out and show us the things. Because they have the Braxton, students out here, they have clinics. So the kids know exactly what to do, because it's gonna sell. But we've been somewhere everywhere. We've been on College Station and he's been winning. Like I said, we don't know that we was together. We actually think she's seen because she gets love and kisses, and we can walk anywhere in any show, drive her running, and she'll stand and do what he wants to do. So he's been really winning. So I just want you to know that I'm glad that I have met you and that we're gonna take Braxton to higher heights.
I want to echo what Mrs. Schooler is really saying. Mrs. Schooler shared a story with me several years ago. And ever since she shared her story, I told her to hang in there, that God is able. Amen. And that we would all band together and we would help her. We were very elated to see Braxton come into the county. And so we all want to stand behind him and help in any way that we can. But in relation to the school, I'm standing in front of her. Ever since she shared that story with me, we've donated premium horse quality eggs. Am I correct?
True.
That's how you help each other.
Hey,
Amen.
I appreciate you saying that. And I'm gonna say this with that, it's sad to say, not step on anyone, because I told you I won't help you too. But, oh, you want me back over here?
No. It's just long.
It's your experience that you had, and I know you're 10 teachers, but your experiences you had is one of those that I am trying to combat, not let that happen. I wish, did they even tell you where they got him? Or they didn't give you my information? Yeah. See, that makes me feel bad because, for him, and I do it for a lot of kids. We tell you, come on, just come back. Just come back. It's a lot of kids that I handle, we handle there through DLC, whether they can afford it or not. Guess what? We handle them. And guess what? We do a lot of programs like yesterday, sent a lamb out, probably worth about $750. The kid only had $300. Guess what? They got a $300 lamb. It's gonna be pretty good. That's going down in Bay City, Matagorda County. But that's what they could afford. And so but I upped it out because I wanted to see that kid do good. So we do a lot of that. And I want them to feel really confident when they hit that show arena that they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. All I want is the heart. If they can come and show me they got some heart and they got some work ethic, then we're gonna show them. So don't ever let you have a kid over here, Braxton, send this to you that needs some help like that, project-wise, and needs some help wise in terms of coming back and consulting, and then I have fun to them. That's what he's put me here to do. Okay, that's what he's put me here to do. This is kind of finish up our goats deal here. You see again the young man that worked for me there. He and his brother both actually had champion reserve goats. They came out for, even the young man who works there, you know, he knows a lot now, came out for consulting with us too. So the next one. This is a saying that I have in my barn that I truly believe in. Here again, I can't control the outcome, but you can control the effort of what's being done. And I have a lot of kids, and I always tell them, in my belief in the show industry, God is in control. I know that. But we can control the effort that we put into working with that animal. We don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we can certainly have that effort. The next thing I told them I can't leave about, we're blessed. At DLC Livestock, I feel really blessed. With the families I have, the people we have to work there with, and there's one other one, I don't think my daughter got it up, that's the end of it, I think. There's one other one, when you walk into my office there, you'll see a big picture, it's a big cutout of a steer, and it has a couple of my favorite scriptures on it. So everybody walks in there, that is the first thing they see. So they know when they hit the floor there, I don't care if you bring your kid there, you've got to have the same mindset I do, because guess what? At DLC Life, you're gonna get some God out. It's gonna come out some kind of way, you know, because everything we do is all about Him. So with that, like I told you, Braxton, I have a different story. I didn't have a big business plan when I started out. But I didn't have that, but I've got it now. As Abraham would be last know, I have a great accountant that has set up a program for me. Well, let me say this, he set it up for him. But all we do is fill in and send it to him, get everything printed out and done. So it is good to have that. It is good to have that plan whenever you start out, how to start this business. But also whenever you're in a business like that, especially in the cattle business, and I know y'all guys talked about that, think about it. We're gonna do commercial, so we might have a little alternative marketing somewhere there. We can spend a little bit more in better maybe our sires or better our cows and just have a little bit more of an alternative in terms of marketing on those cattle, instead of just strictly just going to the sale. Might sell one, we might show one, we might sell some select heifers in a heifer sale. So a lot of those things out there we can do if we just think about doing them.
What feed company do you deal with?
What feed company? You know, I'm an overextension agent. So I can't really tell you what kind of company that I deal with. Actually, to tell you the honest truth, we have our own feed. I didn't tell you all everything that Dwight Callis does at DLC, but we do have our own feed that's down at Damon Farm Ranch. People think I make a lot of money. I don't off that fee, but we mix a lot of our own rations. And we deal with all. I always tell my kids to come there on the show. Wherever their family's doing business, we can file a fee from that fee store that'll work. Just simple as that. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I've got some business cards here with me, so we'll set them out if y'all want some of those. But thank you for what you're doing, and look forward to working with y'all.
Awesome.
Braxton, don't forget to share with them that if they want to see what an actual business plan looks like and what the spreadsheets look like, I forgot to mention, because I was going through so fast, that our spreadsheets, our cash flow analysis is different than anybody else's, because we do a detailed analysis of what is in the numbers, rather than just throwing the numbers at a banker. We do a detailed analysis. Anybody who wants that, there'll be a sample that he can email to everybody that will show you what the cash flow plan looks like, what the business plan should look like. This is one that I did, then this one that we didn't fund. My wife decided to make it fun for y'all, so she changed it all the things. So y'all can laugh through the business plan now. But it's kind of structure on what y'all need.
Very good.
Mr. Hebert was just saying that if you want more examples and more things to look through as far as creating a business plan and cash flow charts and things like that, that I could send you anything. Anything that you hear out of any 3D sessions, if you send me an email at bjmitchell@pvamu.edu, I could send you anything you want. All of these sessions have also been recorded, so I can send you that out too. One question.
No, it's not a question. I'm just detailing that I've gotten several calls from the last session. So when you look on there, LAT's numbers are also on there, and if you need to know information based on what we presented, let us know.
Yes. If you need anything from Landowners Association in Texas, they presented last Thursday, and they're also here today. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to them on their website. And anything from any of the speakers, if you weren't able to catch any of the contact info on any of the slides, just reach out to me. I'm trying to build some strong relationships with everybody, so I'll have anything that you need. Next, we're gonna do our surveys. I will pass out a survey here in person for Charlotte, and we will also have one on Zoom. So if you can fill that out, that really would help us out a lot. We'd like to see how these programs benefit and see what direction to move on from here going forward.
I came from a different industry into the ag business, and I have a CPA. So do you recommend having a CPA that's more versed in the agricultural business than just one that you use for other businesses? Because they would be able to answer that. Be able to find out the loopholes or whatever.
The question was, do you want to have a CPA that is a very good CPA, or do you want one that's well versed in the agricultural arena? And we've had a small business for 26 years now. And I can tell you, a CPA with experience in your business will save you more money than any well-qualified CPA out there. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Gotta know the lingo.
Gotta understand it.
I know the lingo. Okay, well, that is all we have today. Yes. It was a whole lot. Could y'all give our speakers another round of applause? So we will catch back up with y'all next week. Next week we'll be talking on local and government assistance programs. We'll be talking about USDA programs and FSA, and so super excited about that to wrap everything up. So please join us next week. Like I said, if you need anything, reach out to me at my email. I have some business cards over there also. So thank y'all.